Welcome to Hard Talk. I'm Stephen Sackur. My guest today is a great British actress whose body of work represents a paradox. In the public mind, Dame Diana Rigg will forever be linked with performances which were almost a sideshow in her long career. I'm thinking of her role in The Avengers and as a Bond girl. Both attracted huge attention, but it's in the theatre that she's won critical acclaim and a host of awards. Now she has an iconic role in the hit series Game of Thrones. So how's it been dealing with the fickleness and unpredictability of an acting life? Dame Diana Rigg, welcome to Hard Talk.
Thank you.
I want to ask you a pretty basic first question. Is your approach to acting today pretty similar to the way it's always been, or has it changed pretty radically over the years?
I think it's more or less the same. I did ask a friend of mine who's known me for 50 years, because I'm surrounded by, when you're working with younger people, the waves of ambition come across to you. And I asked this friend of mine, was I ambitious? And he said, no, you were always grateful. And I think that just about sums up my career.
I suppose the difference is that having done so much over such a long period, you, I'm imagining, feel much more confident about who you are and where you're going and what you've already achieved. And I just wonder if that makes a difference.
Yes, it does. Of course it does. I mean, I've always loved working. I don't live to work. I've always had a life beside my work, so that I've had a balanced life, because I do look back now at my age, you tend to, and I've always had a pretty full personal life, as well as, thank goodness, I've been so lucky with my professional life.
Well, already I'm getting a feeling that you love what you do. I guess you must do it because you love it now. Because, when you started, you had to put bread on the table. That was your job.
Oh.
And now you do it, I guess, simply because you choose to, because it's fun.
Yes. But also, I simply don't understand people who decry what they do. Actors, talk about, we're children really at heart, or we're half-formed, or we're really living out fantasies on the stage, and it's very belittling to a profession which actually goes back to 640 BC. I
mean, one of the tropes is that actors are people sort of deeply insecure and in search of an identity, because that's why they're drawn to a job where they can play other people all the time, inhabit other people's skin.
I take exception to that. I mean, not great exception. I just think they're foolish when they speak like that, because I think if you do justice to the acting, you have to have a profound knowledge of the human condition, and of yourself. Because what happens when you accept a part is you have to measure the distance between yourself and that part. And you have to fill it with truth. I mean, Sarah Siddons said, I look upon a part to see if it is in nature. And if it is, then I know it can be played. So you have to turn that written page into nature.
So on that basis, are there many parts that you've turned down because you just didn't believe in them?
No, I've generally thought, oh, if I don't believe in this, it's a bit of a challenge.
Really?
I've got to make it believable. And actually, talking about belief, it's one of the most moving things about, again, our profession, being in the theatre, is that people come to believe. They lend you their belief. They don't come cynically. They want to believe. And this is a great, great gift that they give us.
You've talked about the theatre, and we'll talk a lot more about the theatre, but I want to, in a sense, start in the here and now and then weave backward through your career. The here and now, to many people, is all about a role you have found in one of the biggest TV series of our age, that is Game of Thrones. Now, it's full of young sort of starlet actors, but it also has a rather wonderful part for you. How did it feel getting involved in something that's become such a current cult?
I wasn't aware that I was getting involved in something so huge. I really had no idea. As ever, I was deeply grateful to get the part, and to get such a good part too. I really enjoyed doing it.
I mean, is your part? I think she's called Lady. Is it Elena Tyrrell? She's something of a harridan.
Oh yes, yeah. She's also pretty evil. I'm good at evil.
Let's see how good at evil you are. Just a little taster of this evil lady. We'll watch a little clip. Let's look at it on the screen.
You came to Dorne because you needed our help.
What is your name again? Barbara?
Obara.
Obara. You look like an angry little boy. Don't presume to tell me what I need.
Forgive my sister. What she lacks in diplomacy, she
Do
makes...
shut up, dear. Anything from you? No. Good. Let the grown women speak.
It's a fantastic little clip because it gives a real sense of your strength and meanness.
Yeah, but it's also down to the script writers. I mean, thank you to them for a good scene.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, you know, I've, on HARDtalk, interviewed quite a number of actors, female actors over the years who've bemoaned the dearth of great parts for women as they get older and progress through careers. Have you experienced that, or is that not your experience?
I've truly been lucky. I really have. And I think, in a sense, I've sort of developed and become a better actress as I've grown older.
Do you think it's because some actors, female actors, are too picky? I mean, you know, because it's become something of a cliche almost. And I quote you, one brilliant actor, Kristen Scott Thomas, who says, you know, I know all the stories of older women not getting jobs in film can be so very boring, but it is true. It's a disaster.
Well, I think she's talking about film.
Is that different?
No, I think it is different, and I can't comment because my film career is pretty well negligible. I've done the odd film, but I'm not famous for my film work.
Well, we'll get to film work, because there is one particular role you played which has gone down in history because it was a Bond movie, and everybody remembers Bond movies, but I don't want to get there just yet. I want to stick with, in a sense, the way in which Game of Thrones mirrors something you did early in your career, which was another cult TV series, and that is The Avengers. Very different eras, different styles, but there's something actually quite similar about the way both captured the spirit of an age. Would you agree?
Yes, I think so. I mean, Emma Peel, I do hate the name. Oh, talk about cliched. But anyway, Emma Peel was way ahead of her time. And the reason for that was that originally it was two fellows. It was Patrick Macnee and another actor whose name escapes me. And he dropped out and Honor Blackman took over, and they didn't change the script.
So it was a part written for a man that ended up being played by a woman. And maybe that's why so many people have said, my God, this was revolutionary. It was a really proper, strong, independent, equal part for a woman.
That's right. And that's
because it actually wasn't supposed to be for a woman.
Exactly. That's how it happened.
Yeah, and you took over from Honor Blackman. You were very young. I mean, you sort of paid your dues in theatre, provincial theatre, the RSC as well, doing Shakespeare, and then suddenly you were plucked out of all that and told you were going to have this really rather glamorous part in a new TV show.
I left, I was with the Royal Shakespeare Company for 5 years, and I would sort of work my way up and to play leads, and I left because I sensed I had to broaden myself. I didn't want just to be a Shakespearean actress. And the world of television was there. sort of beckoning in a way, and I was incredibly lucky to get an audition and to get the part.
Well, for those on the planet who don't remember the Avengers and that sort of 60s sort of style that it encapsulated, let's have a look at a clip of Emma Peel, super sleuth, in the Avengers and in a very particular get-up. Let's have a look.
Give me the gun.
Back up.
Give me the gun.
It's compelling stuff. I mean, obviously I'm not going to mess with you in the studio, given what I've just seen. But how do you feel about watching that now? Because if anybody mentions your name, I think the first images conjured up are of the catsuit and of Emma Peel. And do you like that, or is that actually quite frustrating?
No, I'm very grateful. The only frustrating part about it was the suit was, oh God, it was uncomfortable, and it took me a good half hour to go to the lavatory, getting out of that thing, you know, peeling it off. But I'm very grateful to it. I'm really, it suddenly projected me in, beyond years of work in the theatre.
Yeah, I mean, that is frustrating in a way for somebody who loves theatre so much, that, you know, you can cut through and reach a massive audience with only 2 years, as it was,
yes,
on that show, in a way that years and years and years of classical theatre couldn't do for you.
Yeah, and I went back, I think it was after the second year, I went back to Stratford to do Twelfth Night to say, look, hey, I can put bums on seats. And in fact, I was doing the two together. I was filming The Avengers and doing Twelfth Night.
Just one thing about that intrigues me, because there have been all sorts of different analyses of what Emma Peel represented, and a lot of it is seen through a sort of feminist prism. Some feminists say she was fantastic. She was revolutionary because she was a strong, independent, phenomenally capable woman who was an equal partner with a man. And others have said, oh, yeah, but how terrible that this sort of independent woman had to be put in high heels and a catsuit and look so very glam, you know. Men didn't have to go through all of that.
Do they want hairy legs? I mean, you know, you can't... Of course it was. If you're playing the lead in a television series, and in that sort of series, why not present glamour at the same time as self-sufficiency? I don't see any problem with that.
As a very successful actor in your 20s, 30s, getting more and more success, would you say you had feminist instincts?
I've always had feminist instincts where parity of salary is concerned. I mean, I think an awful lot of it is...
It's still a huge issue today.
It is a huge
In Hollywood, there
issue.
are campaigns of women actors.
Well, we've watched the tennis players fight their fight. Actresses are constantly fighting in America about it. I mean, Katharine Hepburn kicked it all off many, many years ago. And it's absolutely ridiculous.
Is it true that
chasm between men and women?
Sure. Is it true that you discovered on the set of The Avengers that male cameramen were earning more than you?
Yes. And then when I complained, and it hit the newspapers, I was dubbed incredibly mercenary, and in those days, I wouldn't be now.
You were friends with Patrick Macnee, who was your co-star.
So, yes.
Was he being paid much more than you?
I never asked him. We never got there. I didn't want to put him in that situation. It was my fight, and I had to fight it by myself.
Here's another thing that I'm interested in looking back. It's wonderful looking at the old footage. We talked about Game of Thrones, and today's young acting stars in Game of Thrones are plunged into a world of celebrity, and they become magazine fodder and everything else. It was a different era in the mid-late 60s when you were doing The Avengers. I wonder if there was an element of that for you, and how you felt about the celebrity culture that may have come your way.
I was completely unprepared for it, completely. I think nowadays the young are prepared for it because they see it all around them. They read it in the magazines and everything. I was naive, very naive. I had no idea. And the fan mail was flooding in. I didn't have a secretary. It mounted up. I put it all in the back of my Mini and drove around with it, feeling so guilty.
Did you like it?
No,
That attention?
I felt guilty because first of all, I didn't have the photographs to send back, which is what they're all wanting. I didn't know how to set about dealing with fan mail at all. And it took me a good long time to work it all out. I think people get help now in the sense that maybe the studios help them or somebody helps them, but I just had my mother.
Yeah, you've also said, I like this comment, you said, when you're acting with the Game of Thrones cast, you sometimes look at them and you think, darling hearts of the young ones, darling hearts, you have no idea what the rest of your life is going to be like unless you put in a proper apprenticeship. And if I sound like an old bag banging on like this, then that's what I am.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you fear
It's
that
true.
today's generation of successful young actors aren't really sort of putting in the work?
They're suddenly catapulted into this world of series. And it is one world, but it isn't the only world. And I think, you know, what I've always believed is that the stage gives you longevity. I think the more of film will spit you out at a certain age, the more of television will spit you out at a certain age. But theatre never does that. And they really need to step on stage and discover what their true worth is through the audience.
Yeah, fascinating. Talking of film, you say film can spit you out as an actor so easily, but there are certain roles that live long in the memory, and I think you can lay claim to one of them with your role in one of the Bond movies,
Yes.
on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is remembered, I suppose, partly because it was the only Bond role played by George Lazenby, but also because your female character, the love interest, was actually quite different from most Bond girls. It was a deeper character, a more human character, and actually ended up with a marriage between your character and Bond himself. Let's just see how you played the role alongside Bond.
No sign of him yet.
Or of someone saying thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. You've got sharp eyes and beautiful earlobes. What were you doing so near Piz Gloria?
Now I have a new interest in life.
Winter sports, eh? Very wholesome.
Just one winter sportsman. And Pa told me where to find him.
Just keep my mind on your driving.
So there you are, Tracy De Vincenzo, I believe your character was called. Was that fun? Because a lot of women who've played in Bond as quote-unquote Bond girls get pigeonholed. And I wonder whether you felt you did or whether you escaped that.
No, not at all. Really not. I mean, I think, no, not. I can't say I did.
Afterwards say it was quite difficult playing alongside George Lazenby.
George was difficult. And, there's no mistake about it. And as a result, he was not invited back. But nonetheless,
You mean he wasn't up to it?
No, he was perfectly good. He really, really was. I think, I mean, I haven't seen it for ages, apart from that cut. I thought he was, yes, he was good. But he was just so difficult off and demanding, and the producers thought, enough.
You know, film folklore has it that because your relationship with him was quite difficult, you ate garlic before the intimate scenes.
That was so silly. He accused me of that, and in fact,
did he actually accuse you of it?
Yeah, he did. And in fact, what happened was that I'd had mistakenly pate, chicken liver pate for lunch, and they'd put garlic in it, but I didn't mean to, and I'm absolutely certain that prior to the snogging scene, I'd actually done everything that actors do, clean your teeth and chew gum and spray and all that kind of stuff. But he thought, because he was paranoid by this time, he thought I'd done it on purpose, which I hadn't. I wouldn't dream of doing such
Well,
a thing.
I'm so glad we've cleared that up.
Well, I'm glad too, because it's lingered for 25 years.
Let me ask you about confidence and security stroke insecurity in the acting profession. You have said over the years that you look back on the roles you played and the life you led as a younger actor, and you wished you'd been more confident and,
Yes.
and happier in your own skin.
Yes, lack of confidence is a form of self-torture. It's ridiculous. And I forget who, it was either Olivier or somebody said you're being selfish when you're worried and worrying about yourself, you know, because acting is giving out. And being unconfident is sort of hugging yourself and a bit inward-looking. And I sort of think I wasted time not having enough confidence.
And is that because you had a wonderful period, I guess, in the 1990s when you won a host of awards for really huge theatre parts?
That was just such a glorious time. I mean, thanks to the director Jonathan Kent, with whom I worked, one after the other. You know, Medea, Phèdre, Hippolytus, Mother Courage. It was he who put me up there and he who showed faith in me. And I have nothing but gratitude for that period of my life, because it really was wonderful. And I was very, very lucky. Not many actresses get the opportunity to play these parts one after the other. I mean, how lucky was that?
Well, I don't think it's luck, is it? It's talent. But
Well,
also, a great thing that you seem to have done is you seem to have come to a clear understanding that you know, theatre has its ups and downs and that you can get bad reviews, and in the end it's better to sort of shrug your shoulders or laugh at them than get deeply wounded by them.
Yeah, you've got to move on. Just move on.
Have you had lousy reviews that stick in your mind?
Well, the worst one was when I did on Broadway Abelard and Eloise, and we did a nude scene. Keith Michelle and I, we sort of...
What, you mean full on?
Full
Yeah.
on,
full on, full
nothing,
off, yeah.
knickers off. And deeply uncomfortable and absolutely horrible and cold.
Yeah.
And there was what was he? Oh, he was called John Simon. He was small, rather ugly Hungarian gentleman who said, Diana Rigg is built like a brick mausoleum with insufficient flying buttresses. We'll try and get over that one.
Well, I can imagine you would remember that.
Easy. Well, how to play the nude scene afterwards? I mean, just horrible.
But what's beautiful is you've found the humour in it, and also you've now turned it into a stage. You know, you've collected all these horrible reviews, not just of yourself, but many other great actors as well. And you've got this book which has one of the best titles ever, of No Turn Unstoned.
Yes.
I mean, it's become quite a thing in itself, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, yeah. The point about bad notices is that you have to be able to... They've got to be funny for a kick-off, and mine is. But also to be able to quote them is cathartic. It sort of halves the pain to get a laugh at the end of it.
Do you think some actors are too serious about this
Just a bit.
trade of theirs?
Just a bit, yeah. About themselves as well. I mean, there's a lot of laughter in this profession, a lot. And I think, yes, to be too serious is a grave mistake.
We're almost out of time. I don't think anybody around the world would forgive me unless you tell me exactly what's happening with Game of Thrones.
I can't. I think
well,
they're fine
you don't
if
have
I
to give me
did.
the whole plot, but when are you going back to filming?
Oh, yeah, later on this year. Yeah, in fact, in a couple of months, I think. I haven't got the script yet, so I don't know what's happening.
Do you know if you're going to be killed off? Because there's so many killings in Game of Thrones.
No, I haven't got a clue. I do know that they're going to, well, they've announced that they're going to finish it next year.
Right.
Yeah, so it obviously has a, you know, it is ending.
Then you'll find something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dame Diana Rigg, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being on Hard Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.